Welcome to Diaspora Digital Media once again. This is As It Dey Happen. And you know what we do always? We look at trending issues locally, nationally, at regional level, and internationally. Today we are looking at some things that are trending in Nigeria. First of all, the Labour Party National Chairman, Barrister Julius Abure, has been arrested. Allegations flooding all over. The second thing is the state of the nation. But of course, I'll not be talking on my own. I have a very special guest, a senior comrade in the field, who is none other than the great Imo Jonathan. Comrade, you're welcome.
My pleasure. Good to be here. And nice being in your studio.
Yes, sir. So, what is happening? At the inception, when Peter Obi moved from PDP with all the obedient crowd, got to Labour Party and moved Labour Party from position 64 in the 2019 elections to almost first position, arguably, in 2023. One would have thought that would have been the best time for Labour Party to seize the opportunity and take the lead. But right now, what's really going on with Labour Party?
Well, Labour Party is a party in Nigeria, and like every other thing in Nigeria, that an organization, there are usually characters who, especially in the political settings in Nigeria, a lot of people are not service oriented. There are people who are in politics as purely for business. They are transactional politicians. They find themselves in different groups, parties, and organizations, waiting for every 4 years to do business. That is why you understand if people understand how big Labour Party in Nigeria is, they will be amazed to why the party has remained redundant over the years. This party, jointly owned by Nigerian Labour Congress, TUC, and all the major labor unions in Nigeria are coalesced into those two groups. Drivers, farmers, student union, they own this party. But unfortunately, these are the people who suffer the most in Nigeria. But I think is the problem is that the owners of the party are actually ignorant. They complain of inefficiency, failure of leadership, backwardness, social, destructions that are going on, the hijack of institutions of government and destruction of the economy by few political elites. Meanwhile, this political party they have is the body that coalesces the strongest sub-national social structures that can actually take power back. So I'm surprised as to when these drivers, tanker drivers, taxi drivers, farmers, market women, student union, civil servants, and even police, they are complaining about the society not moving forward. Meanwhile, the instrument that have been made available by law for them to pursue, to overtake, and take back their country and put it on the footing where it, to realize its potential. These people seem to be ignorant. When I see ASU go on strike, complaining that politicians are walking away with trillions, I mean, people who never went to school, who never belonged to any of these social structures being mentioned, they just came from the street as area boys, become bag carriers, touts for big politicians. Over the years, they are promoted to become the elite of Nigeria. Meanwhile, professors who go to read the lectures for them complain that as professors in universities, their salaries are 400,000 as professors, even deans. Why that is the case? A tout in Nigeria who is a counselor goes on monthly, sometimes with 5 million, 10 million. It's because those who populate us are ignorant, but they think because people can read and write, they are literate, does not mean they understand. So when I say people are ignorant, not because they can't read and write, it's just because they can't see. They're ignorant of the fact that this Labour Party, which is where all of them coalesce as individual trade unions, where they come together and they own the party, they abandon the party, it becomes a trading tool even for politicians. So it has always been that because they are ignorant, and I'm surprised that up till now they are ignorant. And I was telling somebody, you are a member of Labour Party, you are given a ticket maybe somewhere in Zungeru and maybe in Alaba, and some PDP guy or APC guys are guarding you to sell your party. When you that you are the labor unionist in your local government should be the local government chairman. When you that you are the labor unionist in that ward should be the next House of Assembly member. But because you don't value yourself, you don't value what you so you sell it for peanuts, you trade with your political party, you don't take it seriously, don't person hijacks it, and he goes there and makes law. Why a professor in a university is crying for 400,000 naira, which even through the use of IPPS, the accounting this application for which they use for civil servants, they were even able, they reduced their salary to 250,000. Yet some guys, some of the young men and women in the National Assembly are either retired who 419 or whatever. They are buying cars of 120 million for now, and the professors are the ones who go to write those results to help them to read the election. Don't we see that ignorance of learned characters?
So, Ray Jonathan, let me come here. That's a good place. Now, before the advent of the Labour Party, people think it wasn't really going to make sense, like everybody wrote it off. And so they still have affiliations to the former top parties, PDP, APC. Is that playing in any way?
Come again, you see?
Yes, they have strong affiliations like the people, the tanker drivers, the market women, the Farmer Association, and even the Nigerian Labour Congress itself. Are they really loyal to Labour Party as a party? Before we now go to the issue of Abure.
Okay, this is where that's exactly what I was saying. These tanker drivers, some of them are maybe ignorant too. And the unfortunate thing is that those who collect the form to own, who are supposed to own the Labour Party, the supposed enlightened ones, educated ones among them include those who are in ASU, NASU, and other elitist group that are supposed to lead those ones to enlighten them to understand that by us joining hands, staying in this party and working for this party, this is the surest democratic way to take power and decide for ourselves. So those of them that are pledging allegiance to PDP and APC are actually ignorant, as much as the elite of the labor union who sell their own position for peanuts. You go and help somebody win House of Rep when you should be the one there, but because you don't understand that labor is so big that they don't understand. Until Peter came and gave it a bit of impetus. In fact, unfortunately, why Peter came, what gave Labour the impetus are not Labour Party members. It is the obedient movement, which are not people who belong to the political party. These are young Nigerians who were just looking for an individual who symbolizes their struggle to kind of uproot the political establishment that brought Nigeria to this position we are in. So they saw the symbol, the person who represents that struggle, who they can trust, and once he came into Labour Party, they brought in their energy. You will even understand that why that struggle was going on, why young Nigerians were donating, printing t-shirts, even the very ones that doesn't have job. Members of the Labour Party were inside the party fighting for money. asking for money for rallies. Why the people outside were contributing, young people, the obedient movement, all the rallies and campaigns they did throughout, you never had them fight over money. And that was the biggest, because they were done with their campaign before the political party started campaign. The obedient movement was driven by young people, and it was that influence that the Labour Party benefited, and they are going to lose if they are not careful. Something that came to them on a platter, PDP will beg for it, APC will beg for it, and everybody who witnessed the election know that these young men actually shook the political establishment. Forget what Mahmoud did. They showed it. It is
Absolutely.
now the Labour Party leaders that should be ashamed of themselves, that they've not been able to manage this favor that God and young people, young Nigerians have done to them.
Yes, right. Now, we have had series of accusations, allegations, almost in quite a number of states. The windfall that came with the obedient movement and Peter Obi into Labour Party. It's like maybe they were not ready to handle such glory. All of a sudden, they become celebrities, and allegations follow almost immediately. Some of them have moved into new mansions. I wonder if the salary they received within the election period was more than the one they have been receiving before. Well, however, right now, the Labour Party chairman, Barrister Julius Abure, has been under scrutiny. Can you give us a background as to what's really happening at that level? What's led to his arrest? You have any ideas to share?
Well, so many issues on hand. Actually, before 2022, when the former chairman died, he was the secretary. And I think being that he was from the south, based on maybe their zoning structure, the highest ranking from the south, he was supposed to be, maybe he started managing the party. But, of course, the party was not known much in Nigeria, as there was no relief funds. So everything was on a low key. But like many
Yeah.
other parties, mushroom parties in Nigeria, once election approaches, there are politicians who jump into those mushroom parties, buy them off, maybe hold the ticket for House of Reps, Senate, Governor. Some of them buy them off so that they have a bargaining chip. So the people there are simply maybe hungry and waiting for who will come and give them money, and they'll give them ticket. Whatever you like, go and do with the ticket. And when they are done, they dump the tickets, move on. Some of them just get the ticket so they can go and wait for the opponent in court. And the opponent, when he sees that he has something that he should be afraid of, he will pay them off, and that is it. In the next 4 years, they find another platform. This is part of what Labour Party 2 was.
So they
Then
are technically they were like political party PLC, not
that
really
is
contesting for anything.
that is what so many of those other 18 or so political parties, up until 2018, there were about 70 something of them. Some of them don't even have a council, or you don't even know. A group of people gather themselves. You group of even drunks, you see somewhere in the beer parlor and decide to register a political party, then wait for the next 4 years and do trading and migrate either to PDP or APC thereafter, and case
Yes.
closed. So now, Labour Party 2 was literally in that circumstance. It was a nothing. So in the 2023 election, they were also preparing themselves. So you notice that part of the crisis they have is that they didn't know Peter Obi was. Peter have grown his personal brand. Brand Peter as a brand literally was so big, so big. But Peter as a brand was not a structure. That is not a political party. So if there was supposed to be an independent candidate, the constitution allowed independent candidates, Peter was good to go, literally. But because he has to go somewhere. But prior to Peter coming into Labour Party, this transitional thing has started. Mind you, Peter came shortly before the primaries. So the transitional game has started. Some of them in different states, in different senatorial zones, where they were the political heads, they could not get people to buy their game. So they held the ticket by themselves, waiting for who will come from outside and pay for it. So most of them are giving themselves tickets because It was literally cheap, and most people were not hustling it because the name was not really there out there to give. In fact, parties like ADC, SDP, they were literally more visible than Labour before, prior to Peter coming. Even though Labour is supposed to be a big party because its potential is so massive that the people
Mhm.
only don't even know what they have. So when Peter came, the coming of Peter brought that attention. So bigger fishes from other political parties and those from outside the field who wanted to run now saw that Peter's influence, the way it was going to go, will help their own brand. So they came into Labour Party. Yes, Peter was going for his own thing. It's not Peter that owns the party. He's not the one running the party. Those who ran the party also seeing that Peter have come, so they raised their game. Some of those who
Mm.
had the ticket prior to Peter coming, and those who have remained in the party when it looks like mushroom party, they were now struggling. Those who had it, they were struggling to retain it or to sell it. So where they felt that, okay, in this senatorial zone or house of rep or this gubernatorial, you are not, this person is not strong. The party and the party structure started trying to remove those people's hand of it to give it to people who has a bit of capacity to support to move, because Peter made them now look like they are serious, or with what young Nigerians were doing, they now have to become serious. So they were actually looking for people to who could finance or who could push or who have presence, who can help win election. But
Great, great.
Peter's presence have redefined everything. So
All
in
right,
the end,
great. Now, just in line with what you're saying,
yeah,
the national treasurer of the Labour Party has accused the national chairman of the party of usurping her powers during the elections that he turned to be the treasurer. We have had some other members of the party still accusing Julius Abure of forgery and other stuff. There was also some kind of fracas when he got to the South South, his domain, and the elections going around in Edo and the South South generally. Um, what is your take on that? I'm not asking whether he's guilty or not, but
yeah.
is he in trouble?
Now, my like as I said yesterday on News Central on satellite television, I told them what is happening now is now beyond Labour parties, beyond all these infractions, all this infighting. Because Labour Party, especially young Nigerians using Labour Party, have shaken the political establishment to their foundation. So both PDP, elements in PDP and APC, they are not taking a line low. So they are looking for those loopholes and cracks in the party so they can capitalize on it and decimate the party. And now you will notice that the party has a mechanism for resolving its internal conflict. But when you see that a party member has not exhausted the internal party mechanism for solving problems and they jump outside, you need to be suspicious, because there are usually disciplinary committee, there's state executive council, there is national working committee, then there is neck of the party. So when persons have not gone through these processes of the party, these structural organs of the party, to resolve an issue, they're already outside ringing and making the whole world. So the first engagement now is to do a reputational damage to the party, especially Peter having come on the mantra, we know they give, she should go and verify with this
Yeah.
corruption. In the end,
Uh-huh.
it Abure or Labour Party, they are trying to get at Peter Obi through other means, because Abure has always been there. There has always been crisis in Labour Party since 2020. If you
Mm-hmm.
go and review them, they've had issues behind the scenes, but nobody paid attention. But now you find out that once somebody takes a cup of water in Labour Party meeting, somebody on TV want to ask question, who gave them that water? I thought they said they are not corrupt, because they want to abuse the sensibilities of Nigerians because of the damage young Nigerians did to the political establishment in 2023 using the Labour Party, but unfortunately for those in Labour Party, they are not careful. Now is the time for them to sit at the top echelon of the party and purge themselves of all these irregularities and reconcile themselves and build on the confidence and stop being selfish. Abure too is acting as though every time it's Abure, you don't get to hear about National Working Committee most times, and this in the neck of the party most times. The leaders and the elders of the party need to come out and address Abure and the rest people. And if there is anything they need to reconcile, some of them are ego-centric issues, some of them are monetary, which maybe the person who thought that Abure ate his own and ate the other person's own, and which Abure can never bring. So because of selfish interest, they are doing reputational damage on Labour Party, but those who are funding that reputational damage are actually trying to get at Peter Obi, who have looked impenetrable by the other political forces who try to use so many things to, to bring him to their own level, since Nigerians are
So,
seen as being different.
yes, the great Imo. Now, exactly on that point, they are trying to infiltrate. But do you think they are doing a good job? Peter Obi, like you said, Peter has come as a brand on its own. Is this beginning to tarnish the brand, Peter Obi, when it comes to accountability? Go and verify.
There is only one thing to be truthful. They have done well so far. You notice that if you listen to the young people who are giving Labour Party support, the obedient members of the obedient movement who supported Labour, if you listen, you got their opinion, they are not happy with the party, but they keep supporting Peter. So if the party is not careful, they will lose. Peter has given them something, a ladder to climb on, but they are being blind, selfish, and stupid literally at the same time. So, but I think if Peter wants to have a future with Labour Party, Peter will be making mistake to stay away from solving this problem. One of the things you must give Asiwaju, yes, we are in a democracy. Peter wants things to resolve itself. But knowing that also our democracy is a growing democracy, and the structure of organization, political organization in Nigeria is not effective without some hegemonic persons, whether positive or negative, being able to take the structure and mold them into their philosophical thinking. Peter, having garnered this kind of influence, it will be wrong of Peter to stay aloof while this continue to burn. It is something that is supposed to sit down and say it must stop. And Peter also need to coalesce, all other leaders at that level of echelon now to what nurture that labor into this philosophy that he personifies and the obedient movement personifies, and now build, because Labour Party from now has the potential to do very well, but they are poor in their organizational I've seen their organizational capacity. They're a bit poor. They are a bit poor. The organizational capacity is poor. There's too much of everything.
Thank you very much, the great Imo.
Yes.
So, I think we need to bring you back for more discussion because you're really opening fire. Now, let's look at the second issue before we run out of time. There is hunger everywhere. Like, this is no news. People are doing anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything and everything possible to put food on the table, especially family men, family women, those with children. It is almost apocalyptic in nature. What is wrong with Nigeria? What are the primary factors leading to this low purchasing power? Because you can see the food in some instances, but you don't have the money to buy, and Nigerians are dying. Great evil.
Yes. I would say one or two things that are sensitive here, but all the same for the good of Nigeria. The integrity of a leader is an intangible asset of a nation. when people who are running for presidency have a lot of baggages that outsider interests, foreign interests can latch on to demand unfavorable things from his nation, he becomes a liability to the nation.
Mm.
Let me give you some pointer without mentioning them. You have you remove subsidy according to World Bank, IMF, and the Western interests. You floated the currency about the same time. Right about that same time, we have a Dangote who's supposed to be refining fuel here. Then we started hearing abracadabra story. All the money, both the one tactically stolen from or borrowed or whatever from CBN to fund that thing, many people were able to absorb it and let it go because they felt that when Dangote start functioning, the demand on forex will go down. But at the morning or while we were waiting for Dangote to come up so that everybody will sigh a sigh of relief, having removed subsidy, next thing we're hearing is that Dangote will be purchasing crude oil from America. Venezuelan crude is cheaper, even though they're under sanction. Middle
Mm.
Eastern countries very close to us, cheaper on logistics, would have given us crude at cheaper rate. Dangote, having acquired all this capacity, having gained all the waivers in the world over the years, could have actually been mining his own crude and be paying us. But we want Dangote to go and buy from the US. I don't tell you something about Chicago and the ABI records. Somebody is under pressure somewhere to service other people's economy because the more we are lashing onto this dollar thing, the more we are transferring our wealth. These are intangible things people don't know of how countries and nations their wealth are stolen. 70% of our imports is from China. Why are we using dollar?
Mm.
Are we afraid of doing basket of currency trade like the BRIC nations are doing? Why do we subjugate our economy? Why to favor other people? Joe Biden printed over $8 trillion in the last 4 years. They have to absorb it. So if the economy of US is doing well, somebody has to suffer. And some of
Mm.
these things are entangled with the integrity of leadership because you cannot argue with them. Having exposed yourself, you have exposed your nation. But let me not go deep into that. Coming back to
Mm.
fiscal policies, there are fundamental flaws in the implementation, even if it is so-called non laudable idea to remove subsidy. Where all the monies you got from, where are you plowing it? If you were too serious, the turnover time for most grains, food crops in Nigeria is between 6 months and 9 months. This is about 9 months in government. You remove subsidy from day one. What you started making, you are supposed to employ it into what? Food production. Some of the things that we cried about long before Tinubu became president, as opposition leader, he was shouting about restructuring. If you are taking the issue of state policing very effectively, by quelling the insecurity, many people would have gone to farm. You would have given subsidized farming rather than subsidize these politicians. He's building a house for vice president and at the same time renovating the one he's living for 20 billion. A country that is hungry. The office of the chief of staff, 21 billion. His own, this billion is just going to individuals. And when these monies are budgeted to those offices, they don't even use them. Nobody can account for it. Why the country is hungry? You needed some intervention things to do. Open the borders and ask Nigerians who have money, including Nigerians abroad, who have forests, who don't know how to repatriate their money, or who don't have the time. Nigerians can import food from Thailand, from everywhere, and flood the market, and you equalize the market and bring down the pressure. Once you do it for a period of 3 months, you are given intervention on agriculture so that when our farmers start producing, if it's cheaper, we'll continue to subsidize until it becomes costlier to bring in food from outside. None of these interventions were being discussed. We were just buying cars for SUVs, 1.something billion for first lady, 100 something million for house of rep. These are serious people. And the next thing they come to do is to tell Nigerians to be patient. And the worst is that instead of when people complain for them to respond by using word of faith and showing Nigerian picture of where things are going, they start
Yeah.
gaslighting people. Oh, it's opposition. Oh, it's those who lose election. Society rise and fall on the author of leadership. There is nothing that is happening in Nigeria today that was not predicted. If somebody was coming to contest election, he should have known. But these people now are waiting for articles, television analysts, opposition parties to give them idea, because if somebody has no such idea in 7 months cannot run his country, the only thing left is the ideas Nigeria will bring. Nobody should wait for those people, but unfortunately they are sitting on the driver's seat. But the best we can do is to give them idea. But first, we need to
Yeah,
build faith.
you
There's a
know,
lot of panic.
our president said he doesn't listen to social media now. That because anytime he goes there, it's just people abusing.
That is why he has lieutenants who should be his nose and
I,
ear.
yes.
Yes.
Now, the case of 20 billion naira to renovate the vice president's mansion in a time where 3, 4 days ago, a group of young people were mining as a last resort deep in the ground, collapsing with them. About 40 of them lost their lives instantly. Under such circumstances, why should money be given for building of houses? Is this government insensitive or clueless?
Very, very, very insensitive. Very, 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 very insensitive. In fact, I don't think I think for a very long time, because Nigerians has been emasculated. Unfortunately, including police officers whose extended families and military officers whose extended families are suffering this thing. They have become the instrument, like the colonial police that were used by the colonial masters to suppress their people. So the political class have hijacked the police and the army and are using them as tools to protect their people and to intimidate people. But if you are in Nigeria, you can feel the danger in the atmosphere, and you wonder why this level of insensitivity. Somebody just you need to be numbed, completely numbed, or overdosed on some kind of tropical drugs for you not to feel this thing and for you to be that insensitive. I don't know where that confidence for this insensitivity is coming from. The other day, I appointed son-in-law, a federal housing authority director. I released 120 billion to build house for the living or for those who are dying. People are fainting on the street of Nigeria out of hunger. You look like you are okay. The kind of pressure that you are on, maybe sometimes you finish spending the money with you before you realize that you yourself, you are vulnerable. And there is this fear and confusion. There is panic. Yet there is this high level of insensitivity. There is no sense of priority, no sense of order, because I don't think this is what to talk about governance, because where there is no structure, order, that an establishment, there cannot be prosperity. So what do you prioritize? There is hunger in the land. You are not even at the same time saying, oh, we can't open the border. You want to kill the people? The borders and allow Nigerians who have money, including stolen ones, to bring in food as much as they can and drive down the cost of food. And at the same time, since you remove subsidy, you are busy giving to politicians billions. You've not increased workers' salary. If you have done that, it will be a bit rebalancing things. Why you are bringing food at cheap rate, you are increasing salaries. Because the reason you remove the subsidy is to improve the livelihood of Nigeria, not to kill them now.
Exactly. Well, great. I think we have to call you back for this continuation tomorrow, because as it happens daily. Will you be available?
We'll have to check our diary.
I will meet you around, but because these are things that are eating up Nigeria, and we need people to speak and advise and proffer solutions, which is exactly what you have done. So great. It's been great having you on as it happened on Diaspora Digital Media for today, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, you just had it. That was the great Imo Jonathan, And we just looked at the Labour Party with focus on Abure and, well, corruption allegations and the structure of the party itself. Is there any hope for Peter Obi being there? Is he going to take mantle or take control or steer or advise to the resolution of the internal conflicts within the Labour Party? That's for them to do. We took a brief look at the state of the nation. There is hunger, there is corruption, and some people are enjoying, while a great many are not. There cannot be peace without equal rights and justice. With this, we say, keep a date with us tomorrow. We'll continue our discussion with probably Imo Jonathan and other guests. In the meantime, Diaspora Digital Media, on behalf of everyone, I'm Junior saying thanks for watching.